Observation Hill was the first photo I took when I arrived on Ross Island. All I knew at the time was that it was beautiful. The next morning, I sat at what would become my table. It's a table in front of the largest window in the galley and gives the best view of Observation Hill. I learned its name, and for the first time I noticed the cross at the top. Of course, that means people, and people in Antarctica means a documented history, so I had to find out all the things. First, I was told that the name was given because members of Robert Falcon Scott's expedition party from 1901 to 1904 would climb to the top to see if they could see his small group returning from their adventure south. I don't think that's true. The hill was first summited by a man from Scott's party named Hartley Ferrer. It was he who confirmed that they were actually on an island. This observation is very likely what gave the hill its name. The hill then became a playground for members of the Discovery crew. They hiked it and built makeshift toboggans to slide down. The intent of Scott's first expedition was not to make it to the South Pole. That would come later. During his discovery days here in McMurdo Sound, his focus was on learning about the environment, the geological history of a continent that very little was known about. There was never any mention of the South Pole in any of the expedition's official paperwork. So while the 1902 march south with Shackleton is often seen as a real attempt to go all the way, it doesn't seem to me that Scott thought that they were prepared to do anything more than make a claim at furthest south, and then determine what would be required to make an actual attempt at the South Pole. Next, I learned that Observation Hill is a lava dome and one of many volcanoes comprising the Hut Point Peninsula. It's a steep 750-foot hill and is commonly called Ob Hill. It's frequently climbed to get spectacular views. Regular, clear skies and the dry air give excellent visibility, but probably always windy. I learned that the cross went up as a memorial after the death of Scott and the 4 other members of his polar party in early 1912. It took 2 days to get the 9-foot cross up to the top of the hill, and when I told people this, they looked around and said, "Why?" So I had to find out. Still waiting for Scott to come back to Cape Evans, which is about 22 kilometers from Hut Point, members of the party weren't overly worried when Scott's party didn't return on the date Scott predicted. The 2 returning parties that had traveled with him and turned back at different intervals had had a heck of a journey, the first making it back on fumes and the second narrowly escaping tragedy themselves. The crew restocked one of the largest depots for Scott's polar party and waited. After a while, they lost hope. Because of weather, they had to wait until the end of October 1912 to send out a search party. On November 12th, they found Scott's tent. Wikipedia says that the search party, which discovered the polar party's remains, returned to their base camp in McMurdo Sound to await the relief ship. It reads to me like they stayed there rather than completely returning to Cape Evans. This is in fact what happened. The relief ship Terra Nova went to Cape Evans, where the crew learned of the tragedy. It was there that the expedition members constructed the 9-foot cross, and it was from there that they would have set out to erect the cross on the summit of Observation Hill. Observation Hill remains a playground for people at McMurdo Station. There is the Everest Challenge, where people climb it 39 times, which is the equivalent height of Mount Everest. I've hiked it once, I had a great time, and I'm not sure that I will ever do it again.